I knew my HOA was bad, but I didn't realize how deep the madness went until the day I walked outside and found my driveway empty. My car was gone. At first, I thought it had been stolen. I frantically checked my security cameras, only to see a tow truck backing into my driveway at 5 a.m., hooking up my perfectly parked car and driving off like a thief in the night. I didn't need to check the HOA rulebook to know who was behind this. Karen. Karen, the self-appointed dictator of our HOA, had been at war with me ever since I moved in. She had fined me for the color of my front door. She tried to ban my trash cans because she thought they were too big. And now, she had escalated to stealing my car. I stormed over to the HOA office, which was conveniently located in Karen's oversized McMansion. As I reached her front porch, I noticed her ridiculous HOA president plaque proudly displayed next to a sign that read, "All violators will be towed." I pounded on her door. She answered with her usual smug expression, arms crossed, her short blonde bob practically vibrating with self-importance. "Ah," she said, smiling sweetly. "I was wondering when you'd show up." "Where's my car, Karen?" I demanded. Her fake sympathy was nauseating. "Oh, dear. You see, your car was in violation of HOA guidelines." My car was parked in my own driveway. She nodded. "Exactly. Driveways are for temporary parking only. Vehicles left overnight are considered abandoned." "You've lost your damn mind," I muttered. She grinned. "You can appeal the fine at next month's HOA meeting. But in the meantime, you'll have to pay the $500 towing fee plus daily storage, of course." I clenched my fists, biting back every insult I wanted to hurl at her. Then, as I turned to leave, an idea hit me. A brilliant idea. Karen wanted to play dirty? Fine. She had no idea who she was messing with. I wasn't about to let Karen get away with this. She wanted to use her tiny bit of HOA power to make my life miserable? She had no idea who she was dealing with. Instead of arguing with her, I took a deep breath and walked away. Step 1. Get my car back. I found the impound lot listed on the towing notice Karen oh so graciously taped to my door. It was a shady little operation called Metro Towing and Recovery, run by a guy named Stan. Stan looked exactly like you'd expect: greasy tank top, permanent scowl, and a belly that suggested he lived on gas station hot dogs. "Yeah, your car's here," he grunted when I walked into his office. $500 plus the daily storage fee. I smirked. How much to buy the whole place? Stan blinked. "What?" "You heard me," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm offering to buy your company." Turns out, Stan was barely keeping the business afloat. Between constant legal complaints and rising costs, he was desperate to get out. After a few minutes of negotiation and a quick call to my lawyer, I owned the whole damn tow company. And just like that, Karen's favorite weapon was mine. Step 2. Turn the tables. First, I told Stan, now my employee, to refund me my own towing fee. Then, I went through the records. Karen had been abusing this tow service for years, having cars removed for the smallest infractions. I saw a pattern: she never towed her own car, but she targeted everyone else in the neighborhood. Time to fix that. Step 3. Teach Karen a lesson. That night, I waited until Karen was fast asleep, then called my own tow truck. At exactly 5 a.m., my new guys rolled up to her house. Her car, parked in her pristine driveway, was hooked up and towed just like mine had been. By sunrise, Karen was outside, in her floral robe and bunny slippers, screaming bloody murder. I strolled over with my coffee. "Morning, Karen. Something wrong?" "Where's my CAR?" she screeched. I held up a familiar-looking ticket. "Oh, you violated the HOA guidelines. Driveways are for temporary parking only, remember?" Her face turned an unnatural shade of red. "You can't do this." "Actually," I said, sipping my coffee. I own the tow company now. And per HOA rules, you'll need to pay the fine and storage fees to get your car back. That's let's see, $500 plus daily storage. Oh, and there's a special HOA president surcharge, you understand, right? Karen lost it. She stomped, she screamed, she threatened to call the police. But there was nothing she could do. I turned to walk away, but then I paused and added, oh, and by the way, we're reviewing past tows. Any illegal ones? Full refunds to the victims, paid out of your personal HOA budget. Karen gasped, you wouldn't dare. I smirked, watch me. And just like that, Karen realized she had finally met her match. Karen was fuming, absolutely seething. She had spent years ruling over the neighborhood with her ridiculous fines, outrageous rules, and her favorite weapon, metro towing and recovery. But now, I own the very company she had used to torment everyone. And judging by the way she was shaking on her porch in her bunny slippers, it was just starting to sink in. You can't do this, she shrieked, pointing her perfectly manicured finger at me. This is harassment. I shrugged. It's not harassment, Karen. It's just your own rules being enforced fairly. Surely, the HOA president should follow the same guidelines as the rest of us, right? Her mouth flapped open like a fish gasping for air. Now, I continued, barely holding back my smirk, your car is safely stored at Metro Towing and Recovery. Since you're such a valued customer, I'll even waive the storage fee for today. But the $500 towing fee, that stays. And since you're so fond of HOA compliance, I'll be double-checking all past towing records. If I find anything shady, well, let's just say people might start lawyering up. Karen's eyes widened. She knew she had towed people unfairly. The only question was how many and how much trouble it would get her into. You, this isn't over, she screeched before slamming her front door so hard that a decorative wreath fell off. I chuckled. Oh, I know, I muttered. By lunchtime, the entire neighborhood had heard about what happened. Apparently, a few early risers had caught the glorious moment when Karen's car was towed away, and now, the news was everywhere. People were coming up to me cheering. Dude, you're a hero, said my next-door neighbor, Dave, who had been fined for having an unapproved garden. Finally, someone put the witch in her place, said Maria from down the street, who Karen had once fined for parking her truck in her own driveway. And then came my favorite part, the flood of complaints. One by one, neighbors started showing up at my new business with towing receipts from Karen's past abuses. $750 for a car that was parked in a visitor spot for 10 minutes. $600 because my son's car was parked in front of my house while he ran inside to grab something. $1,200 in fees because Karen said my SUV was too large for the neighborhood. It was a goldmine of HOA corruption. I promised every single one of them that I would go through their cases. If Metro Towing and Recovery had removed their car unfairly on Karen's orders, I would refund them in full. And guess where I was planning to send the bill? Straight to the HOA's budget. Which meant that sooner or later, the money would have to come from Karen. By the evening, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered. You think you're clever? Karen hissed. You think you can just humiliate me like this? I grinned. Oh, I don't think, Karen. I know. Silence. Then she took a slow breath, as if forcing herself to calm down. Fine, she said, her voice sickly sweet. Let's make a deal. A deal? I repeated. Why would I make a deal with you? Because, she said smugly, if you keep this up, I'll use my HOA authority to shut down your tow business. And trust me, I know how to make things difficult for you. I laughed. Oh, Karen, you really don't know who you're messing with, do you? Excuse me. I smiled, already planning my next move. You'll see soon enough. If Karen wanted a war, I was more than happy to bring it to her doorstep. Karen wanted to play dirty? Fine. I had already taken away her favorite weapon, metro towing and recovery, but if she thought she could threaten me into backing down, she had another thing coming. The next morning, I was already at my new business when I got a visit from a city inspector. "Mr. Carter?" the man asked, looking down at his clipboard. "I'm here to conduct a compliance check on metro towing and recovery. We've received multiple complaints about potential code violations and unsafe business practices." I smirked. Oh, I knew exactly who was behind this. "Let me guess," I said. "Did the complaint come from a certain HOA president with a superiority complex?" The inspector sighed. "I'm not at liberty to say, but let's just say this isn't the first time we've had an issue with her." I nodded. "Go ahead, inspect all you want. I just bought the place, and I can assure you, we're running things by the book now. No shady deals, no illegal tows unlike before." The inspector spent about 30 minutes walking around, checking paperwork, and making notes. When he was done, he shook his head. "Everything looks good," he admitted. "In fact, I see you've been issuing refunds for improper tows. That's actually commendable." I grinned. "Glad to hear it. Now, if someone were to be abusing their position to harass a legitimate business, I assume there's a way to file a complaint about that." The inspector raised an eyebrow. "There sure is." That's when I knew I had just turned Karen's weapon against her. With Metro Towing now officially cleared, I moved on to my next move. It was time to expose Karen. I had spent the last few days digging through old records, and what I found was damning. Karen hadn't just been towing cars unfairly, she had been profiting from it. The HOA's towing agreements gave her a percentage of the fees collected. Every single time she had a car towed, she was getting a personal kickback. I had all the proof: signed agreements, bank transactions, even emails from Karen herself, instructing Metro Towing to prioritize certain violations while ignoring her own. This wasn't just an HOA power trip anymore. This was fraud. And I had just caught her red-handed. The next HOA meeting was packed. Word had gotten out about what I was planning to reveal, and every single homeowner wanted to see Karen square. She strutted in, head high, like she still had control. She probably thought she could bluff her way out of this. She had no idea what was coming. I stood up. "Before we get started, I'd like to bring something to everyone's attention." Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, wonderful. More of your childish antics." I smiled. "Actually, it's about you, Karen. Specifically, about how you've been illegally profiting from our tows." The room went dead silent. Karen's face drained of color. "That's a ridiculous accusation," she snapped. I calmly pulled out a stack of papers. "Really? Because I have bank statements showing payments directly to you from the old tow company. I also have emails where you instructed them to find certain homeowners while ignoring your own violations. And just for fun, I even brought in a witness stand, the old tow company owner. He's more than happy to confirm everything." Karen's mouth opened and closed like a broken ventriloquist dummy. The neighbors erupted. "You've been taking kickbacks from our fines," someone shouted. "So all those tows weren't even real violations," another gasped. "This is fraud." Karen panicked. "You don't understand. This is. This is a misunderstanding." I folded my arms. "The only misunderstanding here is that you thought you'd never get caught." The HOA board members who usually bowed to Karen were now looking at her like she was radioactive. One of them, an older man named George, stood up. "This is serious," he said. "If this is true, the HOA could be legally liable. We need to conduct a full audit." Karen slammed her fist on the table. "You can't do this to me." George adjusted his glasses. "Actually, Karen, we can. And we will." Karen stormed out of the meeting, completely humiliated. She wasn't gone yet, but I knew one thing for sure. Karen's days of power were numbered. Karen was cornered. Her precious HOA kingdom was crumbling right in front of her. After the meeting, the HOA board had agreed to conduct an audit of all her financial dealings. That meant every fine, every towed car, and every dime she pocketed was about to be exposed. And Karen? She knew she was in trouble. The next morning, she was already on damage control. First, she tried to bribe me. "Look," she said, standing on my doorstep with a forced smile. "This has gotten out of hand. You've made your point. I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. How about a little compensation? You can have your towing fees back, plus a little extra. Just drop this nonsense." I raised an eyebrow. "Karen, you do realize trying to bribe me just makes this worse for you, right?" Her smile faltered. "Fine," she snapped. "Then I'll just—" I cut her off. "Karen, I don't need your dirty money. The audit is happening, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." Her face twisted in rage. She knew she had lost. But she wasn't done scheming yet. Later that day, I got a phone call from my tow company. "Boss, you're not going to believe this," said Mark, my new manager. "Karen just called and tried to report your own car for illegal parking. She wanted us to tow it." I laughed. "You're kidding." "Oh, and she didn't stop there. She also reported half the neighborhood for violations." Karen had completely lost it. I decided it was time to end this once and for all. I gathered every single homeowner who had ever been wronged by Karen. Together, we marched straight into the HOA's office. We had evidence. We had witnesses. And most importantly, we had numbers. The board, now terrified of being held legally accountable, had no choice. Karen was immediately removed as HOA president. But that wasn't all. Her fraudulent towing scheme? Exposed. The HOA's lawyer? Forced to report her to the authorities. And then came the sweetest part of all. The lawsuit. With all the proof of Karen's illegal kickbacks and wrongful tows, the neighborhood launched a class action lawsuit against her. She had to pay back every single dollar she had stolen over the years. And when she couldn't afford it, her own car got towed. By my company. As she stood there watching her car disappear down the street, I walked up beside her and smiled. "Karma's a real pain, isn't it, Karen?" She didn't answer. She just stormed inside, slammed the door, and finally shut up. With Karen gone, the neighborhood celebrated. The HOA, now under new leadership, immediately rolled back her ridiculous rules. People got their refunds, their cars back, and most importantly, their peace of mind. And as for me, my towing company was thriving because now, instead of being a weapon for power-hungry tyrants like Karen, it was actually helping people. And best of all, Karen never messed with me again.